If you have a really strong and compelling Act 1 that can get your audience to care, it will drive them throughout the rest of the story. We knew this was a good idea that would result in a good story.
As a full-time creator, business owner, or marketer, you need people to care about what you're saying. But people are hit with new content every day. It's easy for your message to get lost in the feed. At Storyblocks, we believe two things really engage audiences on a deeper level: video and story. Storytellers are the best communicators, hands down. But becoming a storyteller takes work. That's why we're here. We've asked some of the best storytellers we know to break down the anatomy of storytelling, how they think about it, how they execute it, and how it makes them feel.
What's up, everyone?
Meet Colin Rosenblum
This is ridiculous.
and Samir Chaudhry, the creators behind Colin and Samir. If you've seen this duo, then you know they are synonymous with storytelling. They've been creating together on YouTube for 10 years.
We first started making.
And while it may look effortless, an incredible amount of planning, testing, and strategy actually goes into it. So how do they approach each story that they tell? Well, there's one fundamental tactic they always start with.
So we've been making videos together for just about 10 years now, which is pretty wild. And we've made all types of different movies and told all kinds of different stories. We've made feature-length documentaries, but today we make videos on our YouTube channel about creators. And mostly we film in our car, like this.
That's true. Storytelling at the end of the day is just communicating your ideas. It's about how you communicate those ideas.
Listen, keep your eyes on the road, man.
All right, take it away.
I'll take it away. What Colin was saying, storytelling is all about how you communicate your ideas. The thing that's interesting is that you probably don't notice how much you're storytelling in a day. You're storytelling when you're in a job interview or on a date or just talking to your family and friends. So let's get into arguably the most important thing for all storytellers to think about and know when they're going in to making a video or really just telling any story. So the main thing that makes a really good story is the 3-act structure. All right, let me break down what that means. Your story should be divided into 3 parts. Act 1 is the setup. This is the point in the story where you're going to contextualize what you're about to tell me and hook me so that I want to watch all the way till the end. Act 2 is the conflict. This is kind of the meat of your story. This is where you're gonna take me through the adventure. You're gonna show me the transformation. This is where everything that I told you in Act 1 actually plays out. And Act 3 is the resolution. This is the point in the story where everything kind of ties together, where I actually get the release from the tension that was built in Act 2. Now, we spent years not actually using this structure and finding it really hard to properly communicate our ideas. But there was one video that kind of changed this for us. And after we made this video, we started to really focus on this 3-act structure. The video is called 24 Hours to Meet Yes Theory.
So with this video, 24 Hours to Meet Yes Theory, it's one of the first times that we had a truly defined Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure. And the brainstorming process for this video started with a conversation that Samir and I were just having. We were watching a lot of videos from this channel called Yes Theory, and we said to each other, don't you feel like they would be guys that we would be friends with? That question alone, we felt like was a relatable feeling for people that watch YouTube. So we thought, why don't we try and actually meet them because they're here in Venice? That would be something that would put us out of our comfort zone and kind of do what they do all the time. So very clearly in this video, the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 is broken down like this. Act 1, the setup. We're gonna try and meet Yes Theory in 24 hours. Act 2, the conflict. We try multiple different ways to actually make this happen and meet them. All the way up until the very end of Act 2, it's unknown whether we're actually gonna succeed and meet them or not. And finally, in Act 3, the resolution, we succeed in what we set out to accomplish in Act 1. So trying to meet Yes Theory was our Act 1, but we decided to give ourselves the time constraint of 24 hours to make sure that there were even more stakes and tension. So as we're developing our setup, we're trying to come up with different ways to make sure that we can hook you as much as possible. And putting that time limit on it of 24 hours makes it more interesting to follow our journey, to follow our Act 2. There are a few different ways as storytellers we try and signify to the audience that they've entered a new act. Act 1 ends with us declaring exactly what we want to do, and we're actually writing it out on screen. And we use this crescendo that builds all the way up until the end of Act 1. Right after that, Act 2 begins with a fast-paced drum beat and a change of location. Act 1 is primarily composed of VO and B-roll. And then once Act 2 starts, you're watching us experience and go through this journey. We separated Act 2 into different stages, and we use title cards to represent these stages. Each stage represents a different way that we're trying to meet Yes Theory. The important thing in Act 2 is to make sure that tension is rising as time goes on. So in this piece, we're trying to meet Yes Theory in all of these different ways, and it seems like towards the end, we're not even going to succeed. It's the end of the day, night falls, the music totally comes out, and as an audience member, you're sitting there thinking, these guys may not actually accomplish what they set out to accomplish. But then we hit the audience with a raw moment, a phone call between Samir and I, in which Samir tells me that they actually responded back to him and we're gonna meet them the next morning.
Hey, have you checked your Twitter?
And from that point, that's the beginning of our transition into Act 3. It's the resolution. We actually get to go and meet Yes Theory. And the music changes to a more reflective tone. It's not a fast-paced drum beat because we're no longer in that Act 2 journey. We're now in the resolution. We're getting to actually find out what happens. We didn't know if we'd actually get to meet and spend time with Yes Theory. But we put ourselves out there and gave ourselves the opportunity for something good to happen. And we found that by putting ourselves out on a limb like Yes Theory does all the time, regardless of if we actually ever got to meet them or not, it reinforced that what they preach really is helpful.
And I have to say, like, your mantra is seek discomfort. Yep. This was our most uncomfortable video to make. But in, like, I say that in a really good way.
That was a really good time. This is too much yellow, right?
It's definitely too much yellow.
Okay, yeah, it's too much yellow. Okay, so I think if I was looking back in time to us 10 years ago when we first started telling stories on YouTube, and I had to give us some advice about how to tell good stories and formulate them into a 3-act structure, I would say to focus more on the brainstorming aspect of storytelling and thinking through the idea prior to picking up a camera and try and think about ideas that fit into a 3-act structure.
One of the things we took from this video that we've then applied to our other videos is putting an emphasis on the Act 1. If you have a really strong and compelling Act 1 that can get your audience to care, it will drive them throughout the rest of the story. So like, why does it matter? Why does being able to tell a good story in an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure matter? Ultimately, at the end of the day, storytelling just connects you to other people. And the better you can tell stories, the better you can connect to those people.
We do choose to make videos. So why is video such an important piece of storytelling?
The really cool thing about video is that it often transcends language. Like, of course, right now we're telling you things, but there are so many interesting ways to get a story across just with the visuals alone. And that's what I love about video. It's this like extra element that's added on top of storytelling.
Yeah, I think for me, it's also just the pairing of audio and video. When you can get that, even if it's just music, it just makes it so much more dynamic. Like adding music to amazing visuals evokes emotion and drives that emotional journey of the audience and really makes your ideas connect.